Now, outdoor security cameras have come a long way, but typically you have to compromise on something. Either you have a limited field of view, weak night vision, or limited powering options. But if you already have a well-placed floodlight, the new Reolink Elite Floodlight might just be the perfect solution for your outdoor security needs. The Elite Floodlight has stellar color night vision, powerful lighting, 180 degrees of coverage, and won't cost you one dime per month to use or record. Plus, it has a ton of useful storage and integration options, including Home Assistant. So stay tuned to see if the Reolink Elite Floodlight might be just the biggest upgrade to your home security yet. Hi there, neighbors. I'm Ryan the Tech Guy, and welcome back to This Smart House, your destination for the coolest new smart home gear and the best in smart automations. So today we're going to be checking out the Reolink Elite Floodlight, the Wi-Fi version. It's a security camera and ultra-bright floodlight all in one. It's designed to cover large areas like driveways, garages, courtyards, or commercial lots, and packs some seriously powerful features like 4K video, 180-degree panoramic view, and some awesome AI features. Now, if you look behind me, I have a really awkward location for my one and only floodlight. It's mounted in a pretty inaccessible spot at the top of my deck. But in the decade that I've lived in this house, I've had 3 different floodlight cameras installed here. So I've had quite a bit of experience installing and using these types of cameras. So before we start, a big thanks goes out to Reolink for sending over the camera for me to test and for their continued support of the channel. I've had this camera running on my deck for the past couple weeks. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through what comes in the box, how it performs, and whether it's the right upgrade for your smart home security setup. So let's get started by taking a look at the build quality of the camera. So when you first open the box, you're going to see the Elite Floodlight Wi-Fi camera unit itself, which consists of the camera module and 2 spotlights. Also in the box is a mounting plate, a tightening wrench, a fixture plate, some screws and anchors, a quick start guide, and a sticker to help you line up the mount. You're going to need a screwdriver and maybe a drill. But Reolink includes everything else except for a ladder. So my first impressions of the camera, it's pretty solid. The camera housing feels durable and well built, and the floodlights are large but not too bulky. And everything feels like it can really handle weather. That's because of its IP66 rating. So rain, snow, dust, it's ready for all of it. It's also rated to operate in temperatures from 14 degrees Fahrenheit up to 131. So it should hold up in most climates. Now that low-end temperature might seem a little high, but I've noticed a lot of devices that I have will have that rating and still operate well below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll have to see this winter. So overall, like most Reolink cameras, the build quality really impressed me. But that build quality would be nothing if it wasn't for features. So let's take a detailed look at all the features of the camera. Now to start things off, we'll talk about the unique feature of this camera, and that's the lighting. This thing is bright. 3,000 lumens come from its dual LED panels. And one of the most unique features is you can actually adjust the color temperature from a soft warm white at 3,000 degrees Kelvin all the way up to a cool 6,000 degrees. This means it works well as a security deterrent, but you can also tone it down if you don't want your whole yard lit up like a stadium. Plus, you can match the color temperature to other lights around your home. You can also adjust when these lights are used. You can have them trigger on motion, on object detection, or have them on constantly from dusk till dawn. Now, bright lights are great, but you also need great video to go with them. Now with the camera, you're getting a 4K wide resolution. Technically, it's 5120 by 1552 at up to 20 frames a second. Now this is a dual lens, dual sensor panoramic setup that gives you a nearly seamless 180 degrees of horizontal field of view. You also have excellent color night vision when the floodlights are turned on. And if you want to be stealthy, it supports infrared night vision out to 100 feet. Of course, recording everything isn't useful if it's all false alarms. That's where the smart detection comes in. Like most all of Reolink's modern cameras, this one uses AI to distinguish between people, vehicles, and animals, cutting way down on false alerts. You can also set the camera to just record when the AI detects one of those categories. You can even define custom zones and alerts like line crossing, intrusion, or loitering detection. And because it has local storage, you can have it record 24/7 and still get alerts for all of those objects. So speaking of alerts, when it does detect something important, here's how it alerts you. When it detects motion or an object, the floodlight can turn on and a siren will sound, plus it can play a custom 5-second voice warning. You'll also get real-time push notifications on your phone. Now when it comes to connectivity, this camera supports Wi-Fi 6 on both a 2.4 and 5 gigahertz band. And for storage, you can use the built-in micro SD card slot with a card up to 512 gigabytes. You can also connect it to a Reolink NVR, the Reolink Home Hub, or record directly to an FTP or NAS server. And there are no required subscription fees, which is a big plus. You can even stream directly to any RTSP compatible system. So it's really easy to integrate a live video setup into anything you already have. Now, of course, it supports the basics of Alexa and Google Assistant. When the product first launched, it could only bring a live video stream to one of those devices, but with the recent firmware update, you can also turn on and off the light with your voice. Now, onto some bonus features. It does support two-way audio. When in standalone mode, meaning without an NVR, it can support 20 users and 12 simultaneous streams. You can also use a cool time-lapse recording feature. And there's a brand new feature that just came out called AI Video Search. It debuted in July and lets you search clips by keyword in the app, very similar to how Google Photos works. And this is processed locally for maximum privacy. However, it doesn't seem to work right now on a home hub or an NVR, and usually those features come later on. So I'm hoping that comes soon. Now, all I ask is if you've gotten helpful information so far in this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing tons of more Reolink videos this month. So all these features sound great on paper, but how easy is it to actually get up and running? So let's talk installation. The camera is hardwired and supports a voltage of 100 volts to 240 volts. So make sure you either have power outdoors or a junction box where you have an existing light already. The mounting process is pretty straightforward, and if you've done any floodlight installs before, it's pretty easy. Just secure the plate, attach the wires, and secure the light to your wall. Now, one quick note, it does support powering over USB-C only for setup. So you can plug the camera module into a 5-volt 2-amp plug, and it will power it long enough for you to set it up. But I would recommend making sure that it's going to work in the area that you're going to use it. Also, it can be installed on both a vertical wall and a horizontal eave. Now, my installation is actually under an eave back here, which has been tricky for some other lights, but this one was pretty easy. Now, one quick tip, you want to make sure you set up your camera angles and floodlight direction before tightening everything down with the included tool. Everything's adjustable, but much easier to tweak when it's loosened. Now, if you haven't already, you can go ahead and set it up in the Reolink app, which will use the QR code on the bottom of the camera in order to set up the camera to your phone. It'll walk you through all the steps of setting up the connection, setting up your zones, and customizing it to your needs. Now again, you do have the option, if you do have a home hub, to connect it through its native Wi-Fi, which is even easier. So I'd say setup is pretty straightforward, but the real test is how it performs day to day. Like I've said, it's been out here for a couple weeks now, so let me tell you what I've learned. So here's how the camera performed for me. Now, I did notice the camera does wake up really fast when motion is detected. So that way your notifications are going to be very reliable. A lot of this comes from the fact that it's hardwired. And of course, the video quality is impressive, especially having that wide screen with both lenses stitched together. You don't really get a lot of stitching artifacts, but you do notice there's a line in the middle. Now, color night vision is crisp and a nice touch, but I typically leave mine in infrared mode, and I can see all the way out past my fence. The Siren is loud enough to turn heads or hopefully scare off unwanted people or animals. The two-way audio is usable, but not crystal clear, but that's about what you expect with a Wi-Fi camera. Now, the smart detection does a solid job of filtering out bushes swaying in the wind or passing bugs. But every so often it will get a false positive, so just keep that in mind. Now, I've set up a loitering zone outside of my gate and my fence, so that way it only gets triggered if somebody goes out there and stands. Obviously, the kids play in the backyard a lot, so I don't have person detection turned on, but using Home Assistant, I can turn that on and off based on a time of day or whatever other parameters I want. And remember those AI detection features I mentioned? Here's how they work in practice. I find they're pretty accurate and enough to keep you informed and easy to find different events on your phone when you're going back through the footage. Another huge advantage is the fact that they have a direct integration with Home Assistant. So all of the features that you see in the app and all the settings you can change right from the Home Assistant interface. This means you can schedule notifications or AI detection on or off depending on the time of day. So like in my example, when we're at home, the kids are going to probably be outside playing, so I want to turn off the people detection. But at night or when we're gone, I want that turned on to know if somebody's walking through my backyard. It also exposes all those sensors so you can use them to trigger something else. So for example, if you have person detection on your front driveway, when somebody walks in, you can have it turn on lights, all connected through Home Assistant. There's a ton of capabilities here and I'm only scratching the surface, but I love that Reolink has that native integration. So all in all, no major drawbacks to report so far. The only minor annoyance is if you have a difficult install like mine, the size of the camera might make it a little bit difficult to install. So as we wrap up, let's talk about the most important item, the price. The Reolink Elite Floodlight comes in at $219, right in the middle of the pack with other floodlight cameras. It's a bit more expensive than the Arlo or Wyze options, which both sit around $150. But I do think you're getting a lot more with higher brightness, full 4K video, and a true 180-degree view. Now the Pro version of the Wyze floodlight, which I actually replaced this camera with, has a higher lumen output, but that's because it has one extra light. Now if you compare it to the Ring solution, their Floodlight Cam Pro, it sits at $249. And with the Reolink, you're getting better resolution, more flexible storage, and no subscription. Plus onboard storage, which a lot of the Ring cameras don't have. So in terms of value, I really think Reolink is striking a solid balance between price and features, especially if you're looking for powerful lighting, wide coverage, and no monthly fees. And of course, I absolutely love the fact that it integrates with Home Assistant. It opens up a whole new world. So overall, I think the Reolink Elite Floodlight Wi-Fi is an impressive package. You get 4K panoramic video, adjustable brightness and adjustable color temperature, and AI power detection. This makes it a serious upgrade over other outdoor cameras or just a basic motion light. It's great for anyone who wants real coverage, not just a narrow view of a porch, but your whole driveway, yard, or commercial space. Plus, being that it replaces an existing floodlight, it's easy to install and you don't have to run new power to it. So going back to the 3 cameras I mentioned at the start, this one outperforms all of them in terms of coverage, lighting, and intelligence. Plus, if you're already in the Reolink ecosystem, it fits right in. And even if you're not, the lack of required subscriptions and the flexible storage options make it worth considering. And the fact that you can run the camera by itself with no other Reolink gear. Now, if you are interested in checking out the camera, I've got links to the product and current pricing down in the description. Also check the pinned comment for any updated sales. As this camera has just launched this week, hopefully some new sales come out. So if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. So one question I have for you is, do you like using color night vision, or do you rely on the tried and true black and white? I usually prefer to have black and white night vision because it keeps the camera more stealthy, but let me know what you think in the comments. Now if you want to see my other Reolink videos, I've got a whole dedicated playlist right over here. Or if you want to see my other camera reviews, I've got a playlist right here. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss my next smart home review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.